Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Our first story is about two jerks who harassed our OP who worked as a sweeper. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Mock me and my work, then ask for directions? Okay. This happened back in the early 1980s, so all dialogue is condensed and paraphrased. I was a 19-year-old, geek, sickening all-American boy type, male, putting myself through school as a sweeper working for the Mouse in Southern California. We sweepers are in every public area of the park, are the most approached employees for questions, not intimidating like security, swamped like the character actors, or isolated by queues/fences/walls like the ride operators/restaurant/store personnel, and are generally knowledgeable and friendly. It's very much a customer service position. It was a good gig, and I found the Mouse good to work for. My primary work area was centered around the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, which is a major traffic hub in the park. At busy times, most summer days, it was hot, crowded, and by shift's end, you were glad it was done and ready to go home. I was late into the last hour of my shift. The crowds had thinned out, not disappeared, that would be hours hence, but the sun was down and the night was pleasant. I was happily cruising about, keeping my area neat, have pen and broom, will travel, when a pair of 30-something males struttingly approached. Let's call them Mocker 1 and Mocker 2. I am me. Mocker 1. Hey sweeper, there's some popcorn spilled up by the haunted mansion. Better go clean it up. Mocker 2 laughs nastily. That's some hundreds of yards away in another guy's area. Not only not my problem, but actually, unless some danger was caused by it, I shouldn't go. Me, with a friendly smile and a nod. Thanks, we'll get it. Mocker 1, tossing a cup on the ground. He'd walked by at least 4 trash cans between where he was and the haunted mansion. Here, get this. With a flourish, I popped it into my pan with my broom. Mocker 2, in a sneering voice, when is the 3 o'clock parade? This caused Mocker 1 to laugh. Believe it or not, this is a very common question, one that can be heard multiple times a day. Usually it translates to, what is the parade route and when should I get there to get a good spot? But this was at 8:45 p.m. I was off at 9, so it was just meant to annoy me and to waste my time. Me, cheerfully. The 3 o'clock parade will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. This pair continued on in this vein for another 5 minutes, asking random, generally pointless questions, pointing out the odd cigarette butt, leaf, piece of paper, and generally mocking and sneering at me, my work, and the park. Basically mocking me for their own entertainment and wasting my time. I found it mildly annoying, but had long ago, this was my second summer with the Mouse, realized that if 995 out of 1,000 folks are nice and are cheerfully set on having fun, you still get the other 5. And when park attendance ranged from 12,000, very dead, to 55,000, screaming lunacy, that meant that you had 60 to 275 jerks running around on any given day. Knowing that helped me maintain a cheerful perspective. People are, by and large, overwhelmingly nice. Still, as said, it was mildly annoying. It was at this moment that the heavens opened and a choir of angels sang, La! And Mocker 2 asked the single most common question. Mocker 2, oh, hey, I gotta go. Where's the bathroom? Mocker 1, chiming in, yeah, where is it? Now, in a surprisingly Warren-like space behind me, there was a tiny and hard-to-find restroom. I never sent anyone there. It was well hidden. I think dating from park construction and it was little used. Only guided urgent cases personally. Nope, not this time. The next closest was to my right across Adventureland. Straight walk, can't miss it at the end. 3 minutes, less if moving urgently. Nope. Me, with a nod and a cheerful customer service smile, motioned with my hand for them to turn around. Turn around, see that rail? Go to it and follow it to the right. When it ends, there'll be a path on the right. At the end of that path is another path on the right. The restroom is there. And they set off. I'm sure that they were quite expressive when they arrived, 2 lands away, halfway across the park, to the tiny elderly restroom in Fantasyland. 10 minutes later, I was off and never saw those 2 again. Jerk move? Arguably so, I can't deny, but I file it under play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and as an example of the lack of wisdom of asking directions from, after mocking/belittling a stranger. And our next story. Persistent check casher. Okay, so this happened to me yesterday, but according to coworkers, has been happening since Friday. This took place at the gas station job, and it pertains to a certain customer determined to cash a check. It was a normal Monday night, which by that I meant 90% of our sales were alcohol, since the store's in a neighborhood full of alcoholics. We often get checks written over the amount for cash back, so I usually don't think too much about it, so long as they have an ID on hand. Well, this one lady came in with a small handful of things to buy, delivered me a pre-written check well over the total for cash back. It raised numerous red flags right away. Here's the thing, our store is the one of few in my city that takes out-of-town checks, but we don't take checks from out-of-state. So if you have a check from Florida, you won't be able to use it here. Her check was from Minnesota, though her ID was from this state. Second was that it wasn't a bank check. We'll accept credit union checks only if the union is one from our town, but we don't take checks from out-of-town credit unions. I usually distrust pre-written checks. It's my own personal thing. I prefer to see the check written when people pay with one. I was over the total amount. On its own, not bad, but the check was roughly $115 over. $40 is our max for cash back. It was written in red ink, and unless something changed, banks can't accept checks in red because something about their systems. Save for pre-written, all those are grounds to refuse because store rules. But when I explained it to her, good Lord, you'd have thought I hit her, then threw her dog off a bridge. She was offended and PO'd and kept going on and on over how we always used to take her checks, how I'm so unreasonable, and being an incredibly rude employee for refusing. I explained to her the rules again and specified that our owners specifically told us not to accept checks that did any of those things. Oh, no. She wanted me to call the manager, claimed to be best friends with the manager. It was past 9 at night. Our manager would have been asleep because she does the 5 a.m. opening. I told her that, no, I'm not going to wake my manager up for this. If you claim to be such good friends, then go ahead and call her. She didn't, of course. At that point, she'd gotten some others' attention in the store, and one of our regulars in the casino had come out and was standing off to the side to see if he needed to intervene. He's a very big guy, but very nice, always steps in when our drunk customers get out of hand. I just told her she needs to leave. Instead of leaving with her dignity, she threw the check at me and said she'd be back for her money, that she'd call the owner, and I can kiss this job goodbye, and I won't have any luck getting employed anywhere else with my attitude. Of course, she never came back my shift. I informed my boss and left a note for the manager in the morning. Found she's been coming in at different times these past few days trying to find an employee who'd cash the check. Would have had better luck if the ink wasn't red. It honestly blows my mind that in the year 2020, businesses still accept checks written over the amount and give cash back when there's so much fraud. And our last story. Try to stiff rent money owed? Lose your new house. The story. My dad had tried his hand in renting out houses, albeit it's only one house and he only had one renter. He's a soft-heart and couldn't bear to force a family into the streets when rent wasn't paid. The renter was his work colleague, and they were acquainted at best. This man would give every excuse in the book when he couldn't pay his rent, all of them relating to his toddler son. Medical bills for his son, formula and diapers, birthday gifts, so on and so forth. My dad accepted these excuses, allowing his colleague to delay the payment and never once tried to deduct from the deposit. 6 months later, his renter decided to move out. Turns out the jackwagon bought himself a nice terrace house out in a good suburban area. He knew my dad was a patient and generous man and decided to take advantage of that. My dad, in his words, was PO'd, but more than that, disappointed. He decided that he'll stop renting as he figured he would lose more than what he'll earn. Thus, the house was sold. A few days later, my dad approached his colleague wanting to know why he'd stiffed him of his rent money. This took place in the middle of the office with everyone still at their cubicles or milling around. Dad: Colleague, I've heard you bought a house. If you had money for the house, why couldn't you pay the rent? Colleague: I don't know if you know or not, but my son keeps falling sick. Ever since I stayed at that house you rent, my son always has a fever, always coughing. Dad: What has that got to do with me or that house? Colleague: I think I know why. That house is haunted. Got jinn, genie, malevolent or mischievous, and shaitan, devil/demon. You're a new Muslim convert, right? Something must have been PO'd at you for converting. Because of that, my son is suffering. For contrast, us Malaysians still hold on to some superstition, though it's more prevalent in the older generations. Be it due to culture or religion, superstitious beliefs are still embedded here. A rented house being haunted usually means little to no potential renters and a sullied reputation. This ticked my dad off. At this point, everyone had tuned into this drama being unfolded. Raising his voice, he laid down the truth bomb. Dad, I stayed in that house for 2 years with my wife and small children. Nothing happened. You know why your son keeps falling sick? When I went to inspect that house to sell it, the whole place reeked of smoke. Every room smelled like it was after a fire. Your son keeps falling sick because you smoke illegal around him 24/7. If you've ever been slammed by the truth so hard that it left you speechless, that was essentially what happened. Colleague was stunned, mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for breath, before turning around and walking away. My dad, having vented that, left him to do his own business. Unsurprisingly, he failed the drug test, which led to him being let go. Now, you may think that's the end. The other job prospects usually looked into your record, and reason for resigning your last job, having been let go due to failing a test, is an automatic resume into the bin. No job means no income. No income means colleague can't make the monthly installments for his new house. As my dad found out, it's been auctioned off by colleague's bank to another buyer. I don't know. Perhaps this was just karma by God for colleague lying to my dad and stiffing him his rent money. Just needed my dad to be a pawn in his plan to punish colleague in this life. The revenge was undeniably unplanned, but GD, is it pro to me? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.